Hi guys, as promised, here it is, the second part of the review video in terms of content for the United Racing Design mods which were updated, those who were updated for Assetto Corsa to be according to the V7 tire model. I know that now there's, specifically in terms of Kunosh simulation and content, some cars already making use of the V10 tire model, but most of the cars in the sim are still complying with the V7, and some of the mods from third parties have been receiving updates to be working with the V7 tire model, and that's what we are doing here, talking about the prototypes after the video which was released last week about the EGT cars. So, of course, as we noticed in the EGT cars, the prototypes are much more drivable. They don't seem to have that thing of the tires being almost like glued to the road, providing huge amounts of grip and making our life miserable in terms of pain in the arms, especially when you use force feedback settings really strong. We drove the cars for the prototypes. We decided to travel between commas to travel to Spa-Francorchamps, another track, official track by Kunosh, and we drove extensively all the cars. You are watching the P2 car, the PX2 car, and with the skin from Tyres by TDS Racing. So I take this opportunity to compliment Tyres by TDS Racing for winning the 4 hours of Red Bull Ring, managing to take their second straight win in the European Le Mans Series in real life. And now back to the video. Already watching the PX1 Revolution car. So the PX2 car has no competition in terms of class in the Assetto Corsa sim, as it doesn't in the other sim for which United Racing Design produced this mod, the Endurance Racing X PX mod. But this car here already has competitors. So in the previous car we decided to use that skin because it is available at the racedepartment.com, and we didn't want to use two cars with this baseline skin that we don't like particularly. So sorry to United Racing Design for using a skin from that is not included in their product, but this one is. So as we know from the performance of these cars in R Factor 2, here also we notice that there are differences in terms of the performance from all three cars, which is different in terms of what happens with the EGT cars. So we drove in this track Spa. We also drove in Imola, although the Imola footage is not in this video, and we also drove at Monza, and the Monza footage is also not here. So we just used the Spa-Francorchamps, but to have a more global analysis of the cars with the new tires, we decided to test them in 3 different tracks, and in all of them we noticed that there's difference in terms of performance, there's different in terms of lap times, but United Racing Design was cautious enough to also prepare the cars differently in terms of, for instance, the fuel management, so and the fuel capacity of each car. So the Audi clearly, the Aura, sorry, which is this one, clearly has the most limited fuel capacity, only allowing 20 laps, as for instance the Darsh, which is the car that we will see next and the last car in the video, allows for 25 laps, and the Revolution that we already witnessed allows for 30 laps. there's a difference of 10 laps between, for instance, the Revolution and the Aura. Revolution, which we saw earlier. But also, in all the 3 tracks, this car here was the fastest. So you are even able to drive this car in a more relaxed manner. So not exaggerating in terms of going to the limit on braking points and jumping on the curbs, and even so, the performance of this car in straight line is so good that the car is faster. So we were more or less in every track 1 second faster with this car than we were with the Darsh, which in turn is around 1 second faster, 1 second and a half in some tracks faster than the Revolution. We did enjoy a lot the driving of the Revolution car, but it loses to the Darsh, and it loses a chunk of time to this one. That we already had noticed in the other sim where this product is released, and here also. What we notice is, as we did in the EGT with the EGT cars, is that the cars have this more or less the same behavior here compared with the other sim, but here the cars are heavier because the sim is more demanding in terms of the settings, in terms of the force feedback settings. Even if you don't mix with the force feedback settings, which is the case with me, so I use the force feedback settings that are default in the Assetto Corsa sim. And the cars feel really heavy, especially the Aura. The Aura feels really heavy, and that's why I tend to do my driving not being so aggressive driving the Aura as I am driving this car. This car is the one that is most pleasant to drive. It's the one I enjoy the most because you can drive it really just like a pure race car. You can throw him through the turns. Not crazy, but throw him with consistency and aggressively, and the car really reacts to the inputs from the driver. The Revolution is a much more linear car in terms of developing performance, but it's also really nice to drive. The Aura is wild, it's really heavy and it's really wild, but once you drive the Aura in straight line or in high-speed corners, the car is absolutely performs like a missile. It really reads power, and that's why he is so used and so preferred by teams and drivers who use this mod for competition. So guys, this was just basically to continue what we already had mentioned in the EGT review, and if you don't have this mod, look for it at unitedracingdesign.net because it's really worth it. Bye bye.